for it, but now it's Jambre versus Lemon. Then we'll get the classes and see what they're bringing on the screen for you guys at home. So Rogue ban for Lemon, Priest ban for Jambre, Paladin, Rogue, and Druid for Jambre, and Druid, Mage, and Warlock for Lemon. Now, as we have mentioned before, Jambre is a previous winner here of the ESL Premiership. He won Season 2 way back last year. Must have been last year.
Yeah.
Lemon is a new boy this season. Now, he wasn't in it last season. He may have tried to qualify for all I know, but he looked promising. He showed signs of promise throughout this season, but he is in that same bracket, that 1 and 2. I think either way, it would be a disappointment for either of these players to be eliminated.
Yeah, he also won Epic LAN recently, which is a bigger LAN than it used to be as well. So he won Epic 22, which is decent. You win a LAN, you're a happy man,
yeah,
no
definitely.
matter how big it is.
Yeah.
So definitely a confidence boost for him. That was a few weeks ago. So Lemon in a good spot. His teammate is just knocked out a former champion. He's trying to do the same thing. Don't see why he can't. Although Jambre is tough on his day.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Jambre is he is known for his Paladin, right? He plays Paladin, he makes his own homebrew Paladin, and he brings it. But the thing is, he makes these decks, and they absolutely destroy the ladder, right? He made the UK Paladin. It became very popular. People were then starting to use it outside of the UK. And whether you can target that as an opposition player, knowing that he is going to bring Paladin, that remains to be seen.
Respect bans are a weird thing in Hearthstone. You've got to be very careful. You can respect ban somebody maybe at the start of a new meta when you don't know what people are bringing, and you know that, look, he's the Paladin guy, he's going to have a good Paladin deck. But we know what Paladin does. Jambre's not going to do anything much better than anybody else at this stage. He is going to be one of the best Paladin players in the world, don't get me wrong. But you know what Paladin does. You kill their things, they can't buff them. Done.
Yeah, I mean, respect bans, we saw one, I think it was at DreamHack, we actually saw Priest being banned from Zetalot as well, and he still did fantastic.
He did better because Priest was rubbish at the time. They kept banning it. It's like, okay.
Like, now you'd understand it, but back then it was a very weird one. Anyway, final series of the evening then, and let's hope this is going to be a good one, and I hope I don't mess up too many things with cards and stuff. You
wouldn't do that. I've never known you do that. Paladin versus Zoo.
Paladin versus Zoo, indeed. Now, it's good to see Warlock is being played again after so long. Warlock was just a meme. Similarly to Priest, I guess, but even Priest had its decks.
Unfortunately, when you're casting this particular game, you say the following. Both players want to get the board and do that stuff. And tempo is everything. Right, said it.
Yep, you've said it, and there we have it. Now we can talk about all things other than Hearthstone. Like, Lemon is slowly growing a beard. That wasn't there a few weeks ago.
Interesting.
He's going for a little bit of 5 o'clock shadow. Is it 5 o'clock shadow, is that right saying? Or is it like 6 o'clock shadow? I guess it depends
what the time is, where you are, what time you go to bed.
The time of the year, really, doesn't it?
5 hour shadow?
No, it's something. It's something.
No, it's 5 days shadow for you.
This is taking me 20 years, mate. Like 5 days.
Right. So Lemon doing that thing where he's trying to get the board. He's got to plan how he's going to use his Malcazar's Imp. So we'll probably see the Dreadlord on 5 into Imp and Doomguard on 6 if he's got the time for that. If he doesn't, he may have to just shut his eyes and plop out a Doomguard and hope it all goes well. And this is why Gul'dan is a contentious card in the deck in the current meta. None of the games go particularly long, and you always have to fire out your Doomguards and Soulfires early, so your Gul'dan just gets removed from your hand all the time.
I think it was last week we saw Warlock play twice, and both times Gul'dan got discarded. And it was a real shame. There is the bad boy, though. There is Keliseth, who can really swing this matchup into favour. But there is a 7-7 on the board currently, which is going to be very awkward for Lemon.
That's definitely one way of putting it.
Especially if this 7-7 can become a 7-7 with Divine Shield, or a 7-10. Even an 8-8 would make it a struggle. I guess Doomguard could still deal with that, but Jambre has managed to get very far ahead. +3 health is tempting. I'm mainly saying that because I can see the Doomguard, though, and then I know it's out of reach.
Right, but that's sort of one of the only things he can have.
Yeah.
That's a problem. So, yeah. Jambre was tweeted before. I mean, I knew he was going to bring it. So he just thinks that this is better than anything heads up, apart from Rogue. So you ban the Rogue, you play the Paladin. That was like a giveaway as what he was going to do today, but he proves that he's right, at least when he's piloting it time and time again. Playing for Team Diablos now, is that how you pronounce it?
Diablos?
Diablos. Manchester team? Yeah,
Looks
Manchester
like
team.
Yeah, looks like the Red Devils kind of thing. So now for Lemon, obviously Despicable Dreadlord could be played, and then you could run the 2-2 and the 1-2 into the 5-4, clear off the 5-4 and have a 4-5 on the board, rather than playing the Doomguard and tossing all that away. I think you might be forced to do that. Do you see anything better? I mean, you're leaving a 7-10 on the board. Yeah, it's going to become a 7-9 after the Whirlwind effect, but...
it's not likely to be buffed again, I guess.
Well, two of the better cards to be discarded, that's for sure.
Yeah, he gets the other Doomguard now, which is really important for him.
Yeah, he needed a way to kill this 7-10, right, at some point. Otherwise, he's just going to lose the game to a constant
Jambre's got a
damage.
hand like a foot right now as well. None of this is really doing anything.
Do your feet not do anything?
Not when they're like hands. Like having 4 hands
right,
and no legs.
okay,
Kind of.
Because you said a hand like a foot, and there is obviously a hand in Hearthstone, I was thinking his hand.
So his Hearthstone hand... Yeah.
Yeah, well, I got there in the end. It's okay. I understand there are about 40 years. No! Get off!
So, Jambre
Bad
proceeding...
Verinda.
Ouch. I've just been assaulted live there.
Well, at least the camera wasn't on, so you can't sue me.
This is true. Jambre did just go for the face option here. Lemon's got an interesting choice here. Is it even a choice? Like Voidwalker Doomguard? Is that even a choice? Just set up some sort of taunt, kill the 10-10.
Yeah, I mean, naturally you want to play the Imp to get some draw, but I think you may have to put the Voidwalker down just to try and stay alive.
You know he probably doesn't play True... Does he play True Silver? He's playing Corsair, so he's playing double Rallying Blade and maybe True Silvers as well.
Maybe one.
Just to get the extra weapon in there.
Yeah. Ooh, looks like he's actually going to go for this draw.
There was a time when they didn't play... I say they because everybody sort of copied the UK Paladin thing.
Yeah.
Didn't play Tyrion in this deck at all because there were too many weapons, but I think that fad may have passed.
Yeah, I think Tyrion is hard to ignore. But Jambre, if anyone knows how to play Paladin, you'd like to think it's Jambre.
Yeah, I mean, he made top 12. Like, what propelled him into the limelight was making top 12 at HCT Winter in 2016, all that time ago, nearly 2 years, when he played Egg Paladin before anyone had ever heard of Eggs or Paladins. Live on stream.
I think people probably have heard of Paladins.
I'm not so sure.
No? Okay.
And you doubt so much.
I do. Well, there's one of the Rallying Blades.
And there's the
that's
patches.
game. Yeah. So Jambre getting the one weapon that he needed to win the game, and we'll be going 1-0 up after, well, creating basically an Edwin on the board early on. An Edwin that he could just keep buffing up. Lemon could not battle. And I wonder whether a Voidwalker would have done the difference there rather than the Imp. Might have kept him alive for a little bit longer, but would it have won him the game? No.
No, it wouldn't. He was trying to find something specific there with that Doomguard, with the Imp. I'm not quite sure what it was, but something bigger than what he has. A Bone Mare would have been nice, just to have a proper taunt, not a 1-2 or 2-4, whatever it was, taunt. Doesn't really matter. It wasn't very big.
It wasn't big enough.
And Paladin Boy gets a Paladin win.
He does. So now Jambre can go home. He's got what he wanted. He's got his win with his Paladin. Unfortunately, it's Conquest, though, so he can't play Paladin again. Yeah, that puts him in a little bit of a sticky position, doesn't it?
It does. Now he's got to play his other decks.
He's got Rogue and he's got Druid.
Would it be Big Druid? Is he that sort of guy? The thing with... So Jambre, for me, started off as a bit of a meme.
Yeah.
And then it became obvious that he's really, really good at this game.
Yep.
And then he started playing serious decks and didn't do great.
Yeah, although, you know, during...
I say serious, I mean solid, standard,
during the global games, Jambre was the only player that was getting consistent wins during the global games UK victories.
Right.
When you had players like George C on the team, he was losing every time, so... but Tempo Rogue does seem like the right fit for Jambre.
Yeah.
Similarly, a similar playstyle to that Murloc Paladin.
For me, he's a player that, when he's on it, he's one of the best in the world. He makes content, he makes really good videos, that sort of thing. He just gets on with it. And then when he's not on it, he's like, can't be bothered. And he sort of switches between the two quite often.
Well, he's one of these players that he won't ladder for the entire season, and on the last day, he'll just blitz from rank 17 to Legend 10.
He literally, that UK player thing, he literally got from rank 16 to Legend 1 in like 4 days or something ridiculous.
It was pretty crazy. I don't even know if it was that many days. It was...
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure I don't exaggerate it too much, yeah.
I thought it was basically a day, but, I mean, I'm probably over-exaggerating, but... so Lemon playing the token-based Druid here, then.
And he's obviously on the same team as Dan's because he is going to be a super Wolf fan in a minute.
You think so?
Yep. This Wolf's going to get the work done.
You'd like to think so. It needs to do something. But Jambre not having the tempo as tempo rogue. But he does have Edwin. He has a Shadow Step. A few more tools and he may be able to make something big enough that Lemon won't actually be able to contest until Jambre does see the Spellbreaker. Oh, that's a cute little snow flipper, isn't it?
Yeah, lovely.
It's actually going to be a relatively big board now for Lemon if he wants it.
Yeah, this was the thing that Zalay was the first to identify about playing aggressive Druid, is that things with high health that get in the way of all your stuff are actually really annoying. Lemon's sitting around here messing Jambre's face up for like 8 a turn, and Jambre's got to get through this annoying 2-5, and you're not Vial Spinding on turn 3.
You're not doing anything, really. You can play Vicious Fledgling that just, well, sits there and dies.
I mean, a minute ago, Jambre was saying, haha, I'm going to have a giant Edwin.
Yep.
But now he's more of a case of Edwin Van Leave. Because he's not going to show.
Yep, get him out of there straight away. And Lemon, all he'd need is something like a Savage Roar and it'd be game over. This is looking very good for him now. And Jambre is just going to have to do what he can. He's just going to make an Edwin and hope that it's enough. But Spellbreaker is going to make short work of it.
And remember here, Jambre thinks he's lost. He's expecting Savage Roar or Power of the Wild next turn to just end it all. But as it happens, not yet. Do you even Spellbreaker this?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes, because then you can keep your 2-5 that's annoying.
Sure.
Being annoying.
Fine with that.
Otherwise, an 8-8 could kill the 2-5, and then you just allow crazy things to happen, right?
Yeah, this board is absolutely unassailable like this. And Lemon's looking like he's equalised this with no difficulty whatsoever. There's Kalaseth. That'll bump everything up for the rest of the game, Dan. The rest of the game being precisely 0 turns. A turn 4 win there for Lemon. Comprehensive slapping of the face.
Yeah, and a good choice of deck as well. It's weird seeing these players constantly bringing these slow Druids that could be punished so easily by other decks. But in this current meta, when you do just throw in an aggro Druid here and there, it can just get you a victory very comfortably. Similarly, a Pirate Warrior might be able to get you a victory very comfortably as well.
Yeah, going wide against the expected Murloc's not the worst idea either.
True.
Yeah, so, yeah, playing the player a little bit, bringing a good deck, and maybe benefiting from being on a team with Dan as well. Two of them having both decent amounts of experience, both decent players, but having somebody to bounce off is very handy in this game.
And because Dan's quite aggressive.
And his playstyle too.
Yeah. That's what I was going for. I'm glad you're on that one. So, attempt number 2 with the Tempo Rogue for Jambre, and Lemon gets his attempt number 2 with his Warlock. So can either get Kalaseth first? No. Not just yet, anyway.
But they've both got a handful of 1-drops, which is second prize. It's not so bad for the Rogue. The Rogue has the hero power to do on turn 2, whereas if you tap on turn 2, it's kind of a whiff. But they're both going to be able to just dump stuff on the board on turn 2 and really get into this. It's going to be a big scrap on the board.
Now, Jambre can use Backstab plus patches that's being drawn just to get rid of this Voidwalker and have control of the board nice and early. Of course, this is going to be a battle for tempo.
Yeah, it's just who has the most things. It's a really silly way of putting a fairly important point. But neither of these decks are very good at killing other stuff without using their minions. So if they haven't got any minions, they're not going to kill much stuff. This Dreadlord's good, but not for 3 more turns. That's way too late. And so until that comes about and people start dropping their big stuff, it's a battle for minions.
And one thing to point out, Lemon does still have his coin, but I think it's a spectator bug. I think it's just invisible at the moment.
Interesting.
Yeah. So just bear that in mind. There is a coin there. So next turn he can coin out Saronite Chain Gang if he would like. I saw when they entered the game, it was a bit weird. The coin like disappeared into the middle of nowhere, got eaten up.
Oh.
It's probably gone into the dungeons for kobolds and catacombs, and you have to find it.
That'd be good. Like a dungeon run.
Yeah.
Dungeon run off.
Invisible dungeon runs. So yeah, he should be able to use this and coin out Saranac Chain Gang if he wants.
That's a tough choice. I think you do want.
It looks really weird. Now, if I'm wrong here, I'm going to look like an absolute moron, but there is no coin, right? Yeah.
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon. I'm glad that was... I'll give credit to production. They did feed that in my ear. It wasn't just me being an absolute wizard.
Oh, no, you've spoiled the illusion.
Oh, no, the illusion that production actually helped with things. But
okay, guys, you can all sit down now.
There we go. Now you can see the green on Saranac Chain Gang because he has played his coin, or at least he. What? No, he hasn't. Ignore everything I said.
No,
What's
he has.
happening?
And he's played the Chain Gang, and he's passed turn.
Yeah, everything's fluffed up. We'll probably just sort this one out, and we'll probably go over to Jambre.
Jambre has attacked
view.
with the 1-2.
There
Here we go.
Yeah, just a little bit of a spectator glitch there. We'll get that one sorted ASAP for you guys at home. There we go, sound effects at their best.
Yeah, I was just thinking just in time for the best sound effects ever. Now we know what Lemon's got. He's got a Dreadlord, he's got...
Doomguard, and a Bone Mare.
And a Bone Mare. And he's back!
Back with a plan. Mortal Coil, ooh, that's
I think he needs to play this.
Yeah.
He might draw a 3-drop, might have a Flappy Bird, something like that, something he can just dump onto the board. No point tapping and picking up a 3-drop. He won't have many 2-drops in his deck because he's playing Keleseth.
Exactly.
You don't want to draw a 1-drop. You need that 3, I think. I think you've got a Mortal Coil.
Definitely Mortal Coil. Well, now you can tap. Hey, you can use another. Oh, no, wait, you can't. Jambre needs to draw something significant, though, because he's also running out of options. Do you just play this?
I think, yeah, that's what he's wondering. You've got Shadow Step in hand, so you can replay it if needed. I think you just play it.
Play it just to get something.
This deck's full of 5 and 6 drops. If you haven't got it on the board and you draw your Scalebane next turn, what are you doing? Now you can Shadow Step it and play it with a Scalebane. Suddenly you get yourself some damage in and a 6-3 or 7-3 if you draw it. I think this is better.
Doomguard tosses a few things away.
It's so tempting just to Doomguard here.
Yeah. It's naturally, I think, what everyone would lean towards is playing this Doomguard.
Well, you could play the Dreadlord, which challenges the board, and then next turn Soulfire and Doomguard a lot of the time.
But which do you Soulfire first?
Soulfire first, and then you just...
Is that worth the risk? What if you lose the Doomguard?
Yeah, then you probably have a bit of a problem. But you'll have drawn another card. You can put something on the board. I think it's okay.
Ooh. Okay, so now you can play Keleseth. You can balance back Keleseth, and then you can leave it. So then you have a guaranteed target next turn for Bone Mare.
Do you want to bounce it back?
Well, I think you bounce it back so that you have a guaranteed target for Bone Mare. Because you can play it with 0 mana next turn, right?
I like it. And then you don't. Yeah, I like it.
I wonder.
Because if you bounce back the SI7 agent, of course, that's going to cost 1.
And if you're bouncing back the Bone Mare for damage, that's a million turns down the road.
Yeah.
Sure, I like this Keleseth idea. But Jambre knows full well how far behind he's getting here. This is what the pause is about. Because even though your play looks tasty, the board is about to just go absolutely yuck, I think is the word I'm looking for.
How do you spell that?
It starts with a Y and ends in a K.
Okay.
It has like E's in the middle. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
This guy's
So Jambre really opting to try and keep contesting this board then.
Even willing to give up that point, that 4 to the face, just to slow this down a touch.
Another Soulfire. Like an Imp would be great right now. Just something that allows you to draw after discarding these cards.
So if your Soulfire goes bad and you discard the Doomguard,
okay,
you can Mortal Coil the 2/2 and then tap and play a Bloodsail. I think you're okay anyway doing that. But he's going to go for the safe option, make sure this Doomguard doesn't get discarded.
Bye-bye Soulfires.
That's not so bad though, because he keeps the Bone Mare. I think there are a lot of good options there.
Yeah, the Bone Mare was the one he had to keep there, so he'll be more than happy. And now, Jambre's plan of not bouncing back, leaving something on the board, hasn't really worked out. They just have to play.
He's not careful, he'll be leaving the tournament.
That's true, Lorinda. And I don't know if I can cope with 2 previous champions leaving the tournament in one day.
That'd be a barrage of previous champions at
My
the tournament.
heart cannot take it, Lorinda. It can't.
Oh well.
What do you mean, oh well?
We'll find someone else for finals.
Spoiler, I might not even be there.
Wow.
Sad.
Okay, so sets up lethal, all that good stuff. That's why we're talking gibberish, because this was coming a couple of turns ago, the second that the Doomguard did its thing. Jambre gives it up. It's 2-1 to Lemon. Jambre might be lemon jam in a minute.
What? Lemon jam?
Might be turned into jam.
Does lemon jam exist?
Get lemon marmalade.
Like lemon curd? Lemon marmalade? Is it lemony? Isn't it orange?
You can get lemon.
Can you?
Yes.
I wouldn't know. It's probably something from the
I don't think you get lemon
1950s.
jam, though.
Either way, could there have been something where he bounced back that Prince Kaliseth, then he played the Bone Mare after? Do you think he was out of the game
That makes
still?
it a 6-6. The minions
still
get
think he
buffed.
loses.
He's still in a really bad spot. Maybe it would have looked better, but I think the way he played it, at least had 2 minions. We're saying all along it's all who's got the most minions on the board. He had 2 versus none at that point. That's probably the best you can hope for.
He tried to keep something on the board. Anyway, Lemon is left with just his mage then to try and move on in the tournament, try and eliminate Jambre from the tournament. So what mage are we going to be seeing? Is it going to be a trusty freeze mage, or are we going to have more of a control mage? It could be either, looking at this mulligan.
There's so little between those 2 decks these days.
Mana Worm would suggest it's going to be the control variant then.
Yep.
Probably going to have Frostledge Jaina in it as well.
And the problem that Rogue can have against this is if it takes much early damage, it just doesn't heal. Mage can ignore a lot of the stuff on the board, maybe freeze it a turn or 2,
Yep.
and just blast the face away with Alexstrasza's, fireballs, whatever.
And Lemon's had a pretty juicy start, having the Mana Worm plus Frostbolt there as well to deal with anything that Jambre might put on the board. And might have to be the South Sea captain here, which actually uses the patches to deal with this Mana Worm very successfully. 2 Shadow Steps in hand though. Is that a bit clunky?
I think it's okay because of what his hand is.
Yeah.
It's going to pan out okay with Shadow Stepping Vile Spines to kill stuff, I think. It's also a good way of triggering counter spells and stuff, so if they're in there, which they should be.
You'd think so.
But for now, this turn's clunky.
Yeah, Flame Elemental plus Hero Power is usually where you'd go. There is an option of just playing the SI7 agent as a 3-3, but most people usually want to get that dagger going.
He hasn't got a follow-up play, so he can't Cold Blood. That would have been a thing he could do if he did have a follow-up play. Just, okay, you can ping my 5-1, but it's going to take your whole turn to do so.
Yeah, which you do see quite often.
But no follow-up means no bother.
Mana Worm at least coming into the hand for Lemon, because without it, this turn would have been absolutely horrendous. But I think Mana Worm just ping off patches is perfectly acceptable. Your Tempo Rogue hasn't got too out of control. You're still in very much competing distance.
This is key, boys and girls. You don't have to get +4 on your Cold Blood. This turn is so much better without messing around. This repeated damage of the 3-2 will get so much more than if you'd left up the minion and done a 5 damage once.
At least Archaeologist comes in on time so he can play a secret as well, and at least use his mana to good effect. A debate would be, do you ping anything here? I don't think you need to. You could, if you really want to, you could ping the SI7 agent.
Yeah, just because you've got Blizzard in your hand.
Yeah.
And you might well run around the room with a giant trumpet outside Jambre's hand, say, I've got Blizzard in my hand. But you could.
What to do?
Yeah. Well, I mean, how do you say it if you're with a trumpet? Like, surely if you've got a trumpet, you'd be playing the trumpet rather than saying those things. Or do you say it whilst trumpeting?
Yeah, I think you say it whilst trumpeting.
Care to give me an example?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't.
At least I tried.
No, I'm not trumpeting live on stream at this juncture in my career.
Hey, sometimes you got to go out with a bang, Lorinda, all right?
Or a toot in that case.
Or a toot.
What's happening? Help. Over to Gaskin for a moment.
So
Yeah, well,
many
Lemon did opt to just play the secret there, which in the end does seem right because you don't want to alert your opponent that you definitely have the Blizzard. Fireball is available to deal with this Scalebone comfortably.
Okay, I'm back.
You're back, you're right?
Yep. So the damage is only really chip damage at this stage from Jambre. It's a lot of chip damage, but it's still not looking too fatal. Like you say, Lemon is at least able to fireball this away. Next turn is going to be a tricky one, though. That helps.
That helps. That changes things.
And the reason that changes things is because next turn he can remove another minion. So whilst Blizzard might have been an option to stall things out, and still could be right now because you've got the ping, the fireball the turn after, now you can Firelands away a minion next turn, and turn 6 isn't one of the most menacing rogue turns when the Scalebane's already been played. You can start to do this sort of thing, which means play something small like Blizzard, play something big like Firelands, and maybe use another 6. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the thing. When it gets to turn 9, you can just Alexstrasza face, right? And you're putting a massive threat on the board anyway.
Yeah, Alexstrasza your own face for healing.
Yep,
doesn't really matter.
Depends how low you are, I guess. How low can you go, Neil?
Looks like Jumbo's going to attack first. Very is the answer to that.
All the way to the floor?
Start of the broadcast, how low I could go.
Yeah, that was quite high, actually.
It definitely was. So, Jambre actually going to get the extra point of damage to face now and waste a 1-2 dagger. A 1-1 dagger, obviously.
Oh, double Blizzard. So, I think Blizzard now is definitely viable because you now have a second Blizzard that can clear up the 5-4 in the following turn. Either way, something is going to survive into turn 7.
Yeah, I mean, you can also fight. Sorry.
No, carry on.
I was thinking you could also Firelands the 5-4, save some Blizzards for later, but yeah, it seems more sensible. Double Blizzard just goes through things.
Yeah, and do you want to bone mare something that's frozen?
I mean, you haven't got anything else that's worth doing. I mean, you have. You can Shadow Step it, I guess, but this makes more sense.
Now, for Lemon, you can either Blizzard again, along with a ping potentially, or you could just Frost Nova to buy yourself a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Combine it with a ping onto the 9-6.
Or you could just Fireball it.
Yeah, Fireball makes things a little bit better. But still,
Do
you are
Frost
using
Nova?
You're using a lot of resources, and you are running out of health total. That's for sure.
Right, and you feel that Jumbre's hand is better than it is as well.
Yeah.
You don't realise how much gunk there is there.
Yeah, there could be another Bone Mare, there could be another Coldblood, there could be a Leroy in there or something like that. A lot of incoming damage that you need to be worried about.
So what's his plan for these? You want to drop Alex on 9 to heal yourself, most likely. But you want to do it into a fairly empty board. That's not happening, so that's not a plan.
Well,
do you want to Firelands and Frost Nova on 10? Is that a thing you want to do for 10 mana? Or do you want to Blizzard Fireball on 10? Trying to work out what you're doing 2 or 3 turns from now.
If you're expecting your opponent to have quite a considerable hand, then maybe you're looking at Blizzard and as a little bit of stalling effect. If you think they haven't got a good hand, the next turn you're saying, all right, I can Firelands Portal, and then I'm not looking at much. But either way, this Alexstrasza is definitely got a chance of being used defensively rather than offensively, unless there is a world where Lemon is able to clear up the board, have a substantial lead on the board, and then play the Alexstrasza aggressively. Which, looking at the hand of Jambre, is a possibility. Albeit a low one.
Just wonder if Jumbre's tempted to try and get like the SI7 agent to do 6 damage next turn. Or turn 10, that would be. But
yeah, it's highly possible.
it's getting there, right?
Putting something on the board makes sense here for Jambre, just to try and chip away at Lemon's life total.
I think the idea is if you need 2 Vile Spines in this game, something's gone terribly, terribly wrong.
Second Ice Block is good for Lemon because, I mean, all this talk, we need to be discussing how Lemon's actually going to win this game. It's well a good surviving, right?
I feel for 2 or 3 turns he's not been going forward with his plays. He's just been, I'll kill something and hope to outdraw you.
Yeah.
And you can. You've got Arcane Intellect in your deck somewhere, chilling around. You've got Jaina maybe in here.
Yep.
You've got Alexstrasza to heal you. You've got Ice Blocks. You've got loads of defensive measures. So that's not necessarily the worst, but it's also felt like he hasn't made any progress at all towards stopping the rogue.
Firelands Portal could make a big difference. If you can get a very significant minion, you think you're ahead on the board. You've just seen one Valspine Slayer, so actually you're probably thinking if they're able to play it that willingly, then there may be something that allows them to A, either play it again, or B, they have a second one to play.
So the problem is, if you don't fire lands now, when do you do it? You want to get into a situation where your block is procced at 1, you're fairly level on board, you Alex your own face, and then you take over the game. If you don't fire lands now, I don't think you ever do. Even though it looks really grim, I think you have to fire land something here.
It's a little bit like Lemon just ran out of time of what he actually wanted to go with and panicked into a blizzard. I guess this is another stall effect. You are able to just ping off this 5-1 next turn, so it's not as bad as it looks as at first. Yeah,
it's not horrific. Jambre can proc the block here. Easy for you to say.
He can proc the block with his Shadow Steps if you would like, and of course, why wouldn't you?
Apart from that, you've just seen your opponent pick up a card and point it at his own face. I mean, yeah, you've got to proc it, but how you go about that might be weighted by what you've just seen. Because I think he got as far as Lemon pointing at himself.
Yeah, Lemon. Yeah, he pointed the Alex Charger in his face, didn't he? Yeah. And it's little things like that that I think shows lack of experience in Hearthstone.
And they can only be learned by messing them up enough times that you stop doing them. It's not like, you shouldn't do that, which is what all of Twitch chat is now saying.
Yeah.
You've got to get out there and make that mistake a few times on the big stage. We all know you don't do that. Lemon knows you don't do that.
Jambre's not happy with how this has gone down. I don't know why. Was he maybe thinking he could have Shadow Stepped the Bone Mare instead?
I think he sort of saved these Shadow Steps for the whole game thinking they were going to do something, and actually just ended up using them for winning the game, but for fairly mediocre purposes. Like you say, maybe he could have done the Bone Mare at some point. But he's in a great spot now. And Lemon's constant playing not to die is kind of coming to an end.
Yeah, because Alex Raza your own face suddenly isn't that great. So now you're looking at, well, A, you have to Ice Block, plus Frost Nova, maybe, but I mean, no, you don't even need to Frost Nova at this point. You need to take the initiative. It might have to be an Ice Block plus Firelands Portal, because if you play Ice Block and Frost Nova, it doesn't matter. You're gonna, that 1 damage is coming from face anyway, right?
Yeah.
So you need something from this Firelands Portal to be able to stabilize this board. It has to go on the 5-1 as well. Oh.
That needs to die.
Yeah, that does need to die, but thankfully Jambre can kill it.
Is the healing monster. So you need to get rid of that. Put the block. Jambre just making sure he doesn't mess up here. This is when Jambre, good Jambre comes to play is a good thing to see.
Yeah, because he should know there was Alex Straza in Lemon's hand. If he was watching, seeing that being pointed towards
Assuming
space,
we saw correct, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you'd assume that that is a thing, because when the rope is burning, I don't think you'd accidentally point a Firelands Portal at your own face. Although I've seen crazier things, Lorinda.
You've seen me play.
But Jambre, if he does know, if he has made that read, he wants to build up a board that can still compete with 15 health.
Yeah. That looks like one to me.
Yeah, it doesn't quite save, it doesn't quite finish things
off. So Frostbolt face, Frost Nova keeps you alive, but where does it get you?
I think that's panic stations, isn't it?
You've got to save that
You've
for...
seen SI7 Agent Beam bounce back, so you know for a fact that won't save you.
Doomsayer might do it. Oh, not now, it won't, though. Here comes Leroy. It's going to be 2-2.
That is going to even things up. Jambre stays alive, and we're going to Game 5 in the final game of the evening. The second game of Game 5 that we've had tonight as well. Last time we saw it, it was George beating Duncan 3-2. And we saw Duncan, the veteran of the Premiership, being eliminated by the new boy, George C. But George isn't really a new player. He's kind of one of the best.
Yeah, so. It's hard to word George C. He's been around for a long time.
But he's new to the Premiership.
He's new to the Premiership. Played a lot of HCT, but he hasn't played much else. I mean, HCT is the biggest thing you can play, so why would you in some regards? But he hasn't played the Premiership. I think has he even tried to qualify before? Qualified
this
first
was,
time
this was the first time, but now it's Jambre versus Lemon going into Game 5, and it's going to be Druid versus Mage. So can Lemon get a win with his Control Mage, or is Jambre going to be able to pull this one back with his Druid? Now remember, loser goes home. Winner can still stay on and move forward and hope they can get a place at those live finals, Lorinda. Well, who do you think is going to take this one? If you had to pick a favourite.
I think Jambre will do this. Partly because he's got the matchup odds, but I feel like Lemon's last game didn't seem that great.
It was somewhat indecisive, wasn't it? Yeah. It didn't seem like he knew the direction of how he was going to win the game. Instead, he was just stalling and hoping the game played itself, rather than taking the initiative in doing something.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And Jambre's got enough here, I think, to get going as well. Yeah,
he's got the Jade Blossom next turn, followed by Jade Spirits to start getting the Jades going.
Like, it's not great.
No, but it's something.
You wouldn't sort of cry too hard about this. It's not an eye roll hand.
No. And now, so I mean, when else are you going to play Doomsayer? I guess probably in conjunction with a Frost Nova.
Yeah, you might coin out Acolyte to stop the Blossom. It doesn't stop it, but it gives you something out there, Jade Blossom. It gets rid of your coin, but if they don't Jade Blossom next turn, you're probably winning the game anyway. Or you're in a really good spot anyway.
Yeah.
So
you are in a pretty good spot. Winning.
And you have slowed Jambre down by playing this.
You have a little bit, but actually I like what Jambre's done here, playing the Mind Control tech. He's saying, I don't want to allow you to draw too much. When else am I going to play the Mind Control tech? Probably never. So I'm just going to put something on the board. But at the same time, he is going to be giving draws away anyway. Now he puts the Jade Spirits on the board, so I guess the mana
likely. Now, yeah.
Yeah, the mana didn't matter too much, did it, really?
Now you might just Jade Idol and Blossom anyway, as you're giving away a card anyway. You are a little bit scared. Oh, you're not scared of much. Everything's going to be bigger than 2 attack if you go that way. For the future, it's fine.
Now, of course, it's not the same kind of matchup against a Freeze Mage, where if you've got Earthen Scales, you just outright win this game. The Control Mage has its ways of putting big minions on the board as well. And if it is the variant that has Frostlich Jaina, then that's something else for the late game. Although, we didn't see her last turn. We did see the Mana Worms.
How greedy is Lemon? Is he going to ping his own 1-2 here? And then drop a Doomsayer?
I think he's greedy.
I think you've got to be greedy.
Well, what's the alternative? Arcane Intellect?
I wonder.
Seems a bit weird off curve.
Yeah, you've got to do this.
I was thinking about Ice Block though. I guess that is another possibility. I mean, it's a free turn to get it down.
It's an odd-numbered card. You've got even-numbered mana. Doesn't necessarily follow, by the way. But
no, but you're right. You do like to make good use of your mana. It is using up one of your Doomsayers that may be key later on against a wave of Jades that are...
The only downside is you only get those 2 cards from the Acolyte because now it just dies. Jambre may decide what to do with his Nourish here. I think we just see Wild Growth and pass. You can also Jade Spirit, knowing you can Nourish into more stuff just to boost the Jade, even though it dies.
Yeah, but
he doesn't.
Yeah, no need to.
Because that would blow up your own resources. Yeah.
But I mean, if you're in a desperate situation where you really needed to get big minions on the board, then yeah, potentially.
And next turn's turn 8, he can go Jade, so it's not actually going to slow him down by waiting.
So for Lemon here now, I mean, we were talking last game, we were saying, how is he going to win? And he was constantly on the back foot, he was constantly defending, playing his defensive plays. Now he's in a position where he actually can't do anything offensively. He's got all these defensive cards, and he is literally waiting for Jambre to play stuff.
There is a small difference this turn in that he can Alexstrasza his opponent at the moment.
Yeah.
He got so far behind last game that he was never going to be able to Alexstrasza the Rogue, which meant that keeping back the damage was never going to help. If Jambre doesn't get out of sight on his armor, Lemon can get an offensive Alexstrasza in, maybe.
Yeah, still has
that's a route to victory, maybe.
Still has 2 fireballs, still has Medivh's Valet as well, in combination with a secret. This second Blizzard looks pretty tasty right now.
It does, and it's a good time to use it while he hasn't got use for these cheaper cards. Get that expensive gubbins out of your hand while you can. And use the cheap stuff later. That seems like the best long-term use. Like you say, you're getting rid of 4 Jades. That's not happening many times this game.
Yeah, the fact you are killing 4 things guaranteed makes it better than Frost Nova Doomsayer, because later on you can Frost Nova Doomsayer when the board is a little bit more scary. Jambre, turn 10. Does he draw Ultimate Infestation as all druids do? No, he doesn't.
No.
Well, there we go.
How silly. All right, but he does draw 3 cards, so he may still draw it on turn 10. He just won't be able to cast it.
Yeah. Just like me.
No?
I can play it, I can't cast it.
Wow. Now I can't even ding the bell to celebrate. All right, as he's moved the bell away from me. Child that he is.
You're not allowed it.
Or child that I am, depending how you...
Yeah, this is true.
All right, Lemon's got to start taking evasive action soon.
Well, that's the thing, he's got to do something.
I mean, he hasn't had do something kind of hands, but
no, he
even
hasn't.
So...
That's what's been the frustrating thing. He spent the whole game last time defending, and now this game, when he actually had the opportunity to go on the offensive, there wasn't the possibility to do so. He didn't get his mana worms this time. Didn't have a secret into Medusa Valley, for example.
But what does he do now? He should be looking to empty his hand, in my opinion, to get this Arcane Intellect off, and also, get a Fireland to do, don't you say, do something.
Yeah, you could Ice Block and use Medusa Valley, kill off the 5/3 potentially.
Yeah.
Time runs out on me.
I mean, yeah, you don't want to be using your Frost Nova Doomsayer just yet, so I think that's the only play, really.
Excuse me.
It answers one of the minions.
Sure. These Jades are getting big.
Yeah. And more threats are coming onto the board now from Jambre as well, and he's seen 2 Blizzards.
Yep.
If he can draw out a Frost Nova as well, whilst his board is still relatively low in power, I think he'll be pretty happy.
See what he did here. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
He didn't do anything yet. I'm going to say, see what he does here with his hero power. Whether he chooses to go to face or be aggressive, whether he chooses actually to get out of range of Alex Straza stuff by getting loads of armor. That's what I was going with that. And he is going to just continue to be aggressive.
Yeah, faces the aggression. There's the second Frost Nova, and this is the thing, it's tempting because your life total is already starting to be chipped away at.
Yeah.
And what are your other alternatives?
Got to draw something. You just haven't. He hasn't drawn his early game. He's drawing it now. It's a little bit late.
Yeah, late early game isn't really great.
And none of this looks good. Obviously, Frost Nova Doomsayer clears, but then how do you clear the 7/7s, the 9/9s,
Exactly.
and the 10/10s?
One Doomsayer's already gone.
Yeah.
So that second Frost Nova is literally just a stall mechanic at that point.
You've got to resist.
I wonder.
You just have to take it for now. You have to say, I hope that I'm not going to be popped just yet, but you know that there is a possibility. I guess you could use one Frost Nova now just as a stall, but Ice Barrier does a very similar thing.
Is Jambre going to get through? We have 3 previous champions. One's already through, one's already out. Jambre's like the tiebreaker. Can he survive to next week?
I mean, he's looking in pretty good position at the moment, to be honest. I guess the only... I'm trying to think of a way out for Lemon, but now Jambre has the tools to gain armor every single turn.
That's what I'm
well.
thinking. I think he should be starting to gain armor, and maybe, unless it's like proccing the block, just gain loads of armor so that Alex Straza is just not so menacing. Because that feels like the way you lose. Oh, Kun can also gain him 10 armor in a pinch. You don't need to overwhelm the board. The way your opponent stops is by freezing your board. So maybe we'll see Kun for 10 at some point for armor gain.
Yeah, I think that's very likely indeed. Whereas for Lemon, he needs some way to clear and then just start getting on the aggressive side. I don't even know if he's got Frostlich Jaina in this list. At the moment, it looks just like a kind of a freeze list with mana worms in. It's odd. It's like a Gunther style, right? But
yeah.
Would it have Medivh in it potentially?
Yeah, Medivh, like you already said, Frostlich Jaina, those cards feel like they belong somewhere in here. If it's just Freeze Mage, the hybrid version, it seems to be out of date.
Yeah.
People have had some success with Freeze Mage this season at higher ranks, but even so, it's a dangerous choice.
Lemon having to pull the trigger now and put these put a Doomsayer on the board. Did he make 2 Doomsayers as well here? He did. In fear.
To game 1 with Duncan. He brought Earthen Scales in his deck. I was just thinking Freeze Mage's got a bit better because there's not so much armor gain now for the Druid as there was. Duncan may have been like triple guessing that.
Maybe.
Just a nod to that, maybe.
I mean, he's out now.
Yeah. Say what you're thinking, Dan.
I'm thinking it's a shame because Duncan's a great player.
Yeah, exactly.
And actually a vital member in this community. The UK community, which is growing very fast. Actually, that's why it is amazing to see players like Dan SWF moving forward, like Lemon being in a position here to have the chance to knock out a previous champion so early on.
But we've still got the old guard, we've still got Jambre, we've still got Boar Control, we've still got George C. These guys are still hanging around, fighting off newcomers.
I mean, Hearthstone is one of the few esports where UK is actually relatively good. But Lemon has the chance now to use this Alexstrasza aggressively. 21 health for Jambre, but there isn't 21 damage available for Lemon. Well, there is.
Got to get rid of this Alexstrasza.
Yeah.
Spreading Plague doesn't really get rid of it. He may have to confer not armor, which is also terrifying. There's a lot of ways to kill this over 2 turns. Let's see which one he chooses.
Yeah, you either have to take 8. I don't like it. I mean, you could potentially Coon here for the 10 mana.
Yep.
Then Wrath for 1. Look for your second swipe.
Maya Keeper, Mark of the Lotus, armor up. And some other bits.
Yeah, how scared are you? This Spreading Plague might be important, actually.
My turn is not.
If you're going to go down the Spreading Plague route, you could at least look for your second swipe now by Wrathing for 1.
That's what you're going to do by the look of it.
If the swipe doesn't come, then you play Spreading Plague. The swipe doesn't come. So now Lemon fireballs this 1/5 out the way.
There is a Medivh. There are actually cards that do things in the deck.
Haven't appeared.
Hiding. Firelands looks good now, though.
Oh, Lara as well. That gives a couple more options.
That's actually disgusting.
It is, and you know, Jambre was looking like he was going to be heading through, but Lemon has flipped this one on its head.
This Wrath's a big deal. Is it a big enough deal? Not so sure. It's 15 in hand for Lemon. 3 on the board.
Jambre can get up to 19?
It's 18. But not only is it 18 and 1 off lethal, but that's okay. Sure, we'll just stack up the silliness.
So you Pyroblast now to give yourself a little bit more room next turn. Is that correct?
It's normally correct. I'm just looking with a double Fireball and Frostbolt whether you want 3 Lyra cards.
Yeah, that was my thinking. But now Ultimate Infestation wouldn't get you there.
Yeah, I've got a feeling it doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter. So he picked up a card and threw it at the face. And Lemon looking really strong here.
Yep, 11 armor isn't going to be enough to keep Jambre alive. So it's going to be Lemon who stays alive in the Premiership, knocks out another former Premiership winner. We've seen Duncan eliminated today. We've seen previous winner Green Sheep eliminated, and now Jambre is added to that list on Elimination Week and will not be able to make finals.
Both of the Barrage boys are still hanging in there.
What a day for Barrage.